Now let's talk about the business model, the business side. So there are lots of different opportunities now in terms of making money, right? So obviously you can be preloaded, which of course is the holy grail, right? I get approached by that all the time. We need preloaded on the device. And yes, of course we do that, right? Of course, the carrier can mandate an application. So we're told all the time, right? You by Clara, whoever, right? You have to take this application, it has to go on the phone. It's okay. Of course, there's application stores, and which of course get your app and upload your app into our store. It's out there. And then of course there's models, right? So subscription, one-off purchase, or what I think a lot of people tend to forget about is branded and sponsored applications, right? So Coke, Unilever, Ford, these guys actually have been spending a reasonable amount of money paying developers to come up with really interesting applications, right? That is a whole business model that really exists that people should be tapping into. You guys are talented developers. Why can't you develop something for these guys, right? It makes sense. And you get paid very nicely for it. So also, you've got to think about where are you going to be distributing your application, right? There are different cultures out there, different languages, different people. What might work here in Brazil might not work in Germany, right? Who knows? It might, it might not. You've got to do your research, right? Look out there, but think about it. Well, I touched on this before, this whole collaboration. And actually earlier today, I met some folks who came up in the developer lab, and they said, oh, we're web developers, looking at mobile. And of course, that kind of falls right into this, that 41% of the global developer population is now going to go focus on mobile as well. So there are a lot of people out there that are now looking at mobile and looking at developing applications in that space. The globe slide, yes, we like to do some of the same graphics sometimes. The world has become smaller, connected. Now this slide, what it's basically saying is that innovation and transformation, kind of moving along, where are you going, right? What's the next step? How are you evolving your business case, right? Oh, what's number 6, huh? So understand the technical value chain, okay? Now I'll get to like, what do I mean by that, right? So as an example, data is driving revenue growth. So I love this slide because it kind of tells you where you should really be targeting some of your applications that require data usage, right? If I was a developer, I probably wouldn't be targeting Africa, although there's some obviously great applications that need to be happening there, like banking, etc. Asia Pacific is interesting, of course, the Americas. But this, if I was thinking about where am I targeting, this is something that I have to be looking into, right? And again, this presentation will be available online, so don't worry about taking massive notes, because you can actually have this in about 2 weeks. And of course, fragmentation. Love talking about fragmentation, but fragmentation is really challenging, and I totally understand it, right? You've got to think about which platform you want to develop on, what's the biggest opportunity, so you've got to choose wisely, which of course you chose an Android, I guess, which is one of the reasons why you're here. So, right? So evolution, this is something that a lot of people don't think about, right? Where am I going? What's the next step? So as an example, and everyone seems to laugh at this, but this is true. This, this kind of banana phone, right? That was a real phone, for real. I went into the Motorola archives to find that image. So it took 30 years to go from the left to the right, right? And many, many phones in between, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, right? But we evolved, right? The company evolved. We had strategy of where are we taking things, right? How do you move from one market to another? Where do you want to go? Those types of things. Your roadmap, what is it, etc. These are the things that you need to be thinking about now. So, customer support. If you get to the next slide. Now, not everyone, unfortunately, not everyone is going to have this lovely woman answering the phone, right? At the end of the line, if a customer has a problem. Unfortunately. Now, for me, if I buy an application and I have a problem with it, where am I going to go? Am I going to call you up on your cell phone, or am I going to send you an email, or am I going to call a carrier up? You know, these are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about, because of course when you go to the App Store and you see reviews, right? Some people are really brutal in their reviews. This didn't work, I got no reaction, you know, and of course the word spreads, then no one buys it, right? Now, for me, if I buy something and it doesn't work and I can't get a response, it goes right in the bin. Done. Never going to buy it again. And I will spread the word. Now your IP, of course, right? Many of you are developing interesting solutions that would be considered intellectual property, right? Value. So how are you protecting it, right? Can you patent the idea? Can you patent it? You might be able to. Are there other people that are doing the same thing? And I can't tell you the number of times when I have sat with a developer and they've pitched me on an idea, and I said, well, actually, the guy over there is doing the same thing. And you should see your face drop. I don't know whose is better. That's not my position, but go speak to that person, right? So you've got to be aware of these things. You know, do not develop in isolation. It's incredibly important not to do that. Finally, right? Test. We've had lots of applications submitted into our China store, as an example, that have failed testing for really basic things. We've had applications that have been submitted to us with preload that have failed on a number of simple things. So testing is incredibly important. Obviously, we work with NSTL for testing. Of course, there's a virtual device lab, and of course, devices as well. So I can't stress enough that you need to